Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I am going to be discussing PriceLabs analytics and how you can use them as a short-term rental host to really customize your portfolio, customize your listings and maximize your profitability when hosting on sites like Airbnb, Booking.com, Agoda and all of the others, as well as your own direct booking website. So without further ado, let's dive straight in and take a look around the analytics section and dissect it so you can see how I think about these things, so hopefully you can also think differently, think bigger, think better, and use the data to actually propel your property portfolio forward. Okay, so once you're in the dashboard, you go to the top here where it says Portfolio Analytics, and you've got two different elements. The KPIs and historic reports is the section where you will get the most information and be able to pull data to enhance your portfolio. I am a big fan of analytics. I think if you're not analyzing KPIs, if you're not analyzing your data, then you are almost like operating in the blind, in the dark, as they say. I am always looking at data to tweak and test things. And this goes for my marketing, this goes for my portfolio analytics, it goes for branding, it goes for sales, absolutely everything in the business. So KPIs are really, really important. There's many ways that you can group your listings depending on what analytics you want to look at. So you might look at the entire account, you might look at certain groups, you might look at specific listings. I'm going to, for the sake of this, look at a group. So I'm just going to choose a group of properties and then click Show Analytics. Now, the analytics that the data that is brought up there's so many different ways that you can customize this, and I'm going to go through each and every one of them so you can get an understanding. And this is just how I think of it, right? But I like to think I've been pretty successful in this arena, so I would listen up and take the good bits that you feel valuable and resonate with yourself, and maybe leave the bits that maybe you want to do in a bit of a different way. But you'll see here we've got 65 listings, 3,000 odd bookings, so we've got a lot of data to play with. Year to date, and you can either compare it versus the same period last year, same previous period, or choose custom. And the comparison is in the green, okay? So it's telling you whether you're better or worse than the comparison period. So we've collected 222K in that period on this batch of listings, which is up 80K from last year. Our average length of stay is 10.62 nights. That's about the same as last year. We have 93 more bookings. Our average booking window is 21 days. It was around 11 or 10, so it's up 11.45 days. 75% occupancy, up from 31% occupancy in the same period last year. 58% revenue per available room. 58 pounds, which is up 25 pounds. Average daily rate is up £4 nearly, and the number of active listings is actually gone down 9. So let me just dive into each element and tell you how I think about stuff. So revenue is pretty self-explanatory. Obviously we have secured some much better contracts this year. We've been working hard on the type of stock that we hold in the portfolio over the last few years, and this has definitely been a driver into that increased revenue. And as you can see here, that's quite a sizable gain in a 3-month period compared to the same 3-month period last year on this batch of properties. Our average length of stay is typically around 10 days. We do play more in that medium-term market. We like to push the boat out. Now, because my average length of stay is 10 days, how I could use that information is say, okay, well, on average, I'm getting 10 days each booking. So why do I need a 2-night minimum? Why do I need a 3-night minimum? I might as well set it at 7 or 8 nights and just get rid of all of the short-term bookings, which will obviously help save money on my expenses, save money on my cleaning costs, and it means that I won't have to, I won't necessarily be picking up those shorter bookings, and I will only be available for those that are booking for 7 nights or more, 8 nights or more, and that falls into my average length of stay. I've got 3,000 odd bookings here telling me that that's my data. So I'm not going to hurt myself by turning that off. I'm going to have the ability to be able to sell those properties with confidence because I know that we're getting booked at, around that stay. And then number of bookings, I'm not really too bothered about the number of bookings. I would actually like to see that come down because that means that I am increasing my length of stay and therefore my operational profit is going to be higher. But again, I'm not too fussed about that. The average booking window, this is really, really key. So It used to be around 11, 12 days, but you can see here, for this batch of properties anyway, it's pushed to nearly 22 days. Now, how I would use this, if you remember in the customizations video that we did last week, or last time, I can't remember, a few weeks ago, the customizations as we set it, specifically with the discounting of prices, my first tier was 0 to 10 days, because 11 days on that average customization was when most people were booking my properties. Now, what I might do for this specific group is say, well, most people are booking 20 days in advance of their stay. So why don't I change the discount from 18 days or maybe 19 days and down over, because most people are booking less than around the 21-day mark. So if I don't capture them 21 days out before the stay date, I've effectively lost my market there. So what I might do is then do an aggressive discount from day 20 down to day 0, maybe 1% a day or 2% a day, to just try and bring in those last minute bookings. And 20 days doesn't seem last minute, but my data is telling me that most people that book my properties are booking 20 days in advance. So I need to do something once that period has passed to capture them. And this is probably one of the main data drivers that I use on the analytics to tweak and make sure that we are capturing as many bookings as we possibly can. Occupancy, naturally you want to constantly be seeing this rising. I think there is optimum. I could probably have that at 100%, but then this revenue would drop off. So I like to see this green figure and this green figure increasing at the same rate. What you don't want to do is drop the revenue off and increase the occupancy, because that means that, again, these figures here are all kind of linked. So average daily rate and occupancy and revenue, you want to see them all growing together. If the average daily rate is going down and your revenue is going down, but your occupancy is going up, it probably means that you're selling your properties out far too cheaply. So you can use this data to figure out what your optimum price point is for either the listing or the group or whatever it is that you're analyzing, and then that can help you make better strategic pricing decisions. So that's kind of the metrics we use on this end. Obviously, each metric has its own graph. As you can see here, you can change the graphs around, and you can also select monthly, weekly, daily, day of the week, and there's also some options to pull out the data as CSV. Down here, you can actually generate a PDF report. So the graphs are good for trends. It gives you kind of data in terms of the years that you've been operating and where you're at. And so as you can see here, like 2024 has been by far our best year so far in this period for this group of properties. Again, we're better there, we're better here. And in terms of the average daily rate, we're kind of hovering around the same as we have done for the last 4 or 5 years of operation. So again, good insights into what your portfolio has been doing, how it's been performing as you've made tweaks, as you've made tests to new pricing strategies, new property styles, new fit outs, all that sort of stuff. And then you've got, again, more graphs here. Depends whether you're visual or not. I personally just use these boxes here, but you can dig deep into it and you can have a look at booking window trends, length of stay trends. So you can see here like 1 day, 2 days, 132 bookings are made between 3 and 4 days. But you'll see here, most of my bookings, 274 bookings, are 29 days plus. That's because of the marketing strategy. That's because of the way that I positioned the business. That's because of the way that I've built the portfolio and the type of properties we've built in the portfolio. We have definitely become a mid to long-term provider of short-term rental accommodation. I used to play around in this era here, 1 to sort of 4 days, but I realized that there's a lot of expense involved in that. There's a lot more staff costs involved. And if you imagine here, we've got to be checking someone in every 3 to 4 days. Here, we're probably checking someone in every 4 months because they tend to stay quite a long period of time. And again, the booking windows, it gives you an idea here of when people are booking. So what we can do up here as well is you can create this. So that's for stay dates, this data. And then you've got booking created dates as well. So this is how many bookings you've had in that same time period. Remember, there's a big difference between stay and bookings. For example, if you're running maybe a holiday type destination, you will probably find that your booking creation dates could be very busy at the beginning of the year, but then you collect your cash, your actual stay date data that comes in here would be say from July till September if you're in the UK, for example, and you're running that holiday season. But you might actually take your bookings quite heavily in July to April. January to April. So this just gives you an insight into what's going on in terms of your trends. So if you are a seasonal business like that, and you know that you haven't got the bookings that you normally get in that time period for, say, 3, 4, 5 months in advance when you're going to have the stay, then that's when you need to start going, okay, I need to put some discounts on, I need to put some offers on, we need to drive some business, or we're not going to have as good a year as we had last year because the bookings are down year on year for those periods further ahead. So it's really important that you use data and customize it to your business model, your short-term rental strategy. Everybody has different models. We are pretty much contractor based in the UK, and that's what this analyst is around. So we are pretty consistent. Our downtime is typically November to March. So as you can see here, we have done a very, very good job. The team's done a great job in getting all these green lights over this time period, showing that we have the work that we've put in for the latter 6 months of last year, the work that we've put in over the last couple of years on the portfolio has really played off in this winter season, because the winter is where we typically give our money back, and then it's from kind of April to September where we make the money. So I committed a few years ago to saying, right, I want to stop giving that money back. So what do I need to do? I dug into the data. I looked at the properties that were getting booked throughout the winter seasons. I looked at the rates. I looked at everything I could to make better decisions, and said, right, I now need a portfolio full of those type of properties. We need to be advertising on this channel to drive these longer bookings. We need to be putting our average length of stay at 7, 8, 9 days to get rid of the weekender bookings that are maybe going to trap your properties and not end up having the calendar. So let me just explain what I mean there. If you have a 2-3 night minimum, but your average is 21 days like it is here, then if you have someone book a weekend, let's say next weekend, but then you have someone want to book 30 days, they're not going to be able to book those 30 days because your property is going to show blocks. It won't even come up on the search channels. So you need to decide how you want to play your game. If you had a 10-day booking window, then you would only have bookings in 10 days slots. So you wouldn't have these random 2 nights or 3 night weekenders in, which are going to block a longer booking. Now, the upsides of that is you're going to get much longer bookings. The downside of that is your occupancy might drop. But if your profitability is going up, then that's okay. So these are where you've got to look at the metrics. So if you make a change, like put a 10 or 15 day minimum stay on, watch what your occupancy is doing, and you could go in here and you could compare. You could go in last 30 days. So you could look, okay, well, in the last 30 days since I made that change, what has happened? Have we gone up? Have we gone down? And you can, define the same custom period as the 30 days before that. So you just go in here and you just choose, whatever, 17th, and you're just comparing dates. So it's very, very easy to use the data and use these tools to be able to make educated decisions that help your business and move your short-term rental profitability forward. Now, the next thing I want to look at is pacing reports. Again, you go in, you go group, 5-day minimum, and then analytics. I'm going to be honest, I don't use this massively. I look at it every now and then. I mainly use that first analytics KPIs a lot to be able to make decisions. But this is a great way to just give you more information. So this is like pacing data. So where are you looking at? Like, what does your forerun look like? Again, talking about like the holiday industry. If you typically have a good forerun, you want to know where you're at. This compares it to kind of last year in terms of your occupancy, average daily rates, shows you your booking curves, shows you your occupancy curves, and you can see, they're pretty similar year on year for each of the years that we've kind of operate. Average daily rates pretty similar, revenue per available room kind of fluctuating, but very, very similar. So again, the pricing and the trends haven't really changed. What's changed for me is how I've used the data to improve the length of bookings that I'm getting to then reduce my back-end costs. That's one of the biggest changes I've made in my portfolio. And then the other is actually the type of property that I am hosting. So as we conclude here, analytics, KPIs, data is invaluable information for your business. there's no better place and no easier way to do it than using PriceLabs. It's got all of your data. It's hooked in all of your properties. You can dissect that down to the granular, down to the absolute property if you really want to. I just give an explanation of a group there. You could do it on an account level if you want to. I would recommend doing it in groups, i.e. if you've got a batch of properties in a certain location, or maybe you've got a certain type of property, maybe you've got 5 or 6 holiday cottages that are 1 bedrooms, you might have 5 or 6 holiday cottages that are 4 bedrooms, and you want to analyze the different types and see what the trends are on those. There's so many different ways you can do it, but the great thing is just using the filters, using the click and drops, it's so easy on PriceLabs. So highly recommend it. Get stuck into your data, see what you've learned, drop any questions in the comments. Until the next episode, take care.